going on, Turtle Army? Ignore that intro, but it's me, DeAndre7, the only one who runs this channel and stuff like that. But anyways, that's besides the point. Welcome to a video where I'm going to be doing a hot take on the current anime series of Pokemon 2019, Pokémonsters 2019, the new series, the Sword and Shield anime, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be specifically calling it Pokemon 2019 until until the English dub of what this series will be called comes out, because at the moment I'm just going to be calling it Pokemon 2019 until obviously Pokemon Company International makes the English dub and the title for it. Anyways, let's just start the video. Now, first of all, I need to go over what I mean by a hot take. When I mean a hot take is basically, well, the way I'm doing it, a hot take is basically where, how in most episode reviews of the anime, they go into depth about every episode, like they like what they like about each and every second of the episode. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be going over all the episodes so far, specifically episodes 1 through 10, and I'm not going to go in depth about the episodes. I'm just going to be, I'm just going to make a brief what I like, what I don't like, what I think they should have changed, blah blah blah. So and I'm also going to be ranking the episodes, so like just how last time I ranked the anime like a 7 out of 10, I'm going to be ranking like each episode, like if this episode was a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 1 out of 10, whatever. So let's get started. Also, spoilers. I'm not going to be spoiling too much, but actually no, there are going to be some epic spoilers, but this is just a spoiler warning, so yeah. So first off, we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of the new series, Pikachu is Born. This was an episode that, while not diving as deep into Pikachu's backstory as some would have needed or loved, it functions as a pleasant prologue. I don't think I'm using the word. Yeah, prologue. I think it's a pleasant prologue to give us the first taste of Go and Koharu, with some adorable moments with Pichu and offering a general decent time that appears to guarantee a general tonal and basic comeback to shape for the series. And at last, alright episode that may ideally bloom into something more as the series proceeds. I'm gonna have to rate this a 8. No, not 8. I'm gonna have to put this episode as a 9 out of 10, because we finally got to see what Pikachu's life was like before Professor Oak caught him, and he eventually became Ash's starter for the whole series. But there are some things that I would have loved to see more. I wish we could have just seen, instead of having Go and Koharu introduced into camp and stuff like that, maybe we could have had that as just a minor flashback or whatever, or something like that. Or maybe just actually no. We could have kept that in, but I would have just loved a lot more Pikachu. Like, maybe this could have been a 1 hour special, maybe, where we could see. Well, I don't think it needs to be 1 hour, but maybe like we should have had like Pikachu, like what was Pikachu's life like when, like, how did Professor Oak meet Pikachu? How exactly did the capture go and stuff like that? Why is he afraid of being inside of a Well, it's kind of obvious why he's afraid of being inside a Pokeball, but like, cause Pikachu might be claustrophobic maybe, but like, I don't know. Did they ever mention why Pikachu's afraid of being inside of a Pokeball? Anyways, maybe, showcase why exactly he's scared of Pokeballs and stuff like that. A little minor stuff to show us, like, instead of just being like, oh, hey, he evolved into a Pikachu and eventually became Ash's starter. Why not show, a little bit of his time with Professor Oak? You know what I mean? Next up, we have episode 2, On Lugia they go, Ash and Go. By the way, I know it's Satoshi and Go, but since we all know the English name of Satoshi, I'm just gonna be referring to him as Ash. Or if I know the Pokemon's Japanese name, then if I know if you know the Pokemon's English name, I'm just gonna be changing the Japanese names to English. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean. So, on Lugia they go, Ash and Go. This is a strong introduction episode that makes do with setting up the new plot without running into major plot holes for the occasion. With a pleasantly adjusted interpretation of Ash, the seeds of an intriguing relationship with Go, all developed with decent visuals and soundtrack. So there are some minor issues as far as overlooked characters and the presence of raid battles from Pokemon Go in a setting beforehand without it. Yet nothing that ruins the story and setup for the occasion. So I'm going to have to put this as an 8 out of 10 because there were some minor issues I did have with it. But what am I trying to say here? For this series, I mean, it's a good introduction for this series specifically, so, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because I enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed some of the music that we heard. I enjoyed some of the visuals. I especially loved the raid battle scene with Lugia, where Lugia was doing some work, and then Ash's Pikachu actually held its own against Lugia a little bit, so that was pretty cool. Now we have episode 3. Ivysaur is quite mysterious, don't you think so? A genuinely run-of-the-mill Pokemon anime plotline where a fairly dull reason serves more like the foundation for the advancement of the connection among Ash and Go, and for the presentation of this current series interpretation of the Team Rocket trio with an original thought that seems to ensure their time as an opposing power doesn't feel as monotonous as it used to be previously. With everything taken into account, a genuinely decent appearing for what will be the run-of-the-mill episode for this new series. Just defaced by not very extraordinary battle animation that is as yet compensated for by an incredible shutting session. This is a strong frolic with only a couple of imperfections, so 6 out of 10 because it was just no, that's too generous. I mean, no, I'll give it a 6 out of 10 because, it was mainly just to see how Ash and Go would cooperate as a team, basically, and stuff like that. So, yeah, it did what it did. It showed us what Ash and Go would be like for the rest of the series, basically. So, nothing to complain about too much. Now we have episode 4. Let's go to the Galar region. An encounter with Scorbunny. By the way, anyone who freaking goes in the comments and say it's pronounced Galar, no. I'm going to pronounce it as Galar, and you're going to like it. Until the English dub of the Pokemon anime comes out and says that it's Galar or Galar, I'm going to be referring to it as Galar because it rolls off the tongue for me well. Anyways, that quick rant aside, this was a genuinely commonplace and basic episode plot that figures out how to present the new co-star Pokemon pretty well, with some agreeable bits of activity and a strong establishment for both for Scorbunny and for his inevitable kinship with Go. Overall a great initial step for the experience side of the arrangement without feeling either irrelevant or exhausting, and that figures out how to add the enthusiasm for the accompanying scene to finish this short Galar trip. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 because this episode was actually pretty alright. Next we have episode 5, Snorlax Grows Gigantic, The Mystery of Dynamax. This was an episode that, while it spends a great deal of time on cushioned minutes in its first half, offers a quite fun experience with a Gigantamax Snorlax in its subsequent half, with sensibly genuine stakes and a decent feeling of collaboration for Ash, Go, and their Pokemon accomplices. This was a strong advancement scene. This was a strong advancement episode for Go that executes some great plot beats in a decent manner, with Scorbunny settling admirably into the series structure. So it's an okay little story in general, which may not be the best prologue to Dynamax yet, at the same time conveys fun. So I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10 as well, because I actually did quite enjoy this episode a little bit. And can I just say, the music that they showcased when Snorlax was Gigantamaxing was amazing. Now, on to episode 6. I'm gonna get a ton of Pokemon, The Road to Mew. This was an episode that, all in all, does precisely what it was publicized as. For the most part, centered around a few little catching endeavors as opposed to a significant single one. You know, bringing about an exceptionally quick-paced episode that doesn't conclusively wind up dull, however, likely won't dazzle individuals on not keen on the reason. So this is an episode that I feel is critical to show Go's objective moving. However, that could have dug further into Go's line of reasoning. I'm gonna give this one can get a I want to say this one's a 7 out of 10 as well. There's a lot of 7 out of 10s for this one. I'm too generous. But I'm honestly not really feeling, I didn't really like how, Go barely battle. I don't like how Go barely battles his, to catch the Pokemon and stuff. And all of the catches seemed a little too easy in my opinion. I mean, they are bug types. They're the weakest type of all. So, I mean, that makes sense. But, I mean, I don't know. I think my only gripe with this episode for me specifically was the fact that Go was just catching everything, mainly first try and stuff like that. Especially the pincer scene where he's just throwing random objects out of fear and accidentally throws his Pokeball and catches the pincer. Like, maybe we could have had a battle or whatever, but whatever. Finally, episode 7. This is an episode I've been waiting to talk about. The Hoenn region, site of first fights, the Battle Frontier Challenge. A conventional battle episode with some great moments for both Ash and Go, exhibiting admirably the uniqueness between their skill levels, while offering some enjoyment minor episodes of doing combating on Ash's end with a pleasant long-winded adversary to adjust things. Some touchy movement decisions and some recognizable progression glitches ruin what would have been, in any case, an entirely strong episode from the point of view of a long-lasting watcher. Yet, in general, the pros outweigh the cons for this occasion. With the main genuine disgrace being affirming we're not to expect a lot of coherence from this show in any event when it ought to be attainable. So I actually really like this episode because, this episode finally as of this episode, it's actually been confirmed that Mimey, Delia's Mr. Mime, well, the one that we thought was Delia's Mr. Mime, it's actually Ash's Mr. Mime. So apparently, way back when he first appeared in the original series, Mimey was actually caught by Ash off screen, and he just kind of stayed to be sort of Delia's little butler Pokemon kind of thing. So it's pretty cool seeing Ash and Mr. Mime finally, battle together as trainer and Pokemon. I really love it. And honestly, me along with a lot of people, we all thought that Ash was probably going to, use one of his older Pokemon. Some people speculated that the Pidgeot that we saw in that last episode, that was going to be Ash's Pidgeot, and he was going to use it during this Battle Frontier thing. But I didn't really think that, because I mean, a lot of people were like, oh, but Ash said he was going to come back, even though that was the English dub that said that. In the Japanese version, he never promised Pidgeot that he was going to return after delivering Professor's GS Ball. So we most likely won't see Pidgeot ever again, but we don't know, because, this series is full of surprises. But, I would have loved to see, Ash's Swellow, Sceptile, Corphish, heck, even Torkoal or Glalie, his, the Pokemon he caught in Hoenn. I would have loved to see, Ash use one of his Hoenn Pokemon in the Battle Frontier, but it's okay, because we got to see Mr. Mime do some work, because I thought Mr. Mime wasn't really gonna do that much work, in my opinion. But Mr. Mime, I take back every bad thing I said about Mr. Mime, because I thought he was just gonna be typical weak Pokemon, just stupid battling and blah 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 blah. Until he proved, he has a unique battle method where he'll actually use his barriers to restrict his opponent's movements, and then that's when he'll finish off with the stronger attacks like Focus Punch, and I believe he had Psychic. I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. I've only seen the episode once, so but he did use, I'm pretty sure I know he has Focus Punch, and I think he has Psychic, so that was pretty cool. And also Mr. Mime is Ash's first Psychic and Fairy type Pokemon, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyways, on to the next episode. By the way, this is an 8 out of 10 episode. Episode 8, Don't Give In Piplup, a drift ice race in the Sinnoh region. This was an episode that feels especially retro in certain respects, between managing an issue of the day and a Team Rocket fight, generally conveyed by some engaging guest characters, and by the battle against the trio, giving the scene a proportion of peak. This was an episode where the happiness level truly relies upon it relies upon the odd chance that one prefers these sorts of episodes or not. I personally enjoyed the episode because the character of the day was actually pretty funny. Even though she had this sort of Velma gag where she was like, oh my gosh, my glasses, and a new Pokemon, every time she would drop her glasses, a new Pokemon would come up, and she would present favoritism towards that Pokemon, as opposed to her Piplup and her Croagunk in the episode, especially when I believe Psyduck, and at the very end Psyduck came and got the glasses, and Piplup and Croagunk were like, oh no. Like, just as Piplup and Croagunk started getting along, Piplup and Croagunk see the Psyduck and they're like, oh, here we go again. So this episode I actually really enjoyed, as one of those funny type episodes, like, because there was a lot of enjoyable moments. And I really love Go's Mantike. I love how Mantike was, I don't know why Ash picked Pikachu for the Drift Ice race. Like, he could have just gotten one of his water Pokemon, but whatever, the plot demands it, I guess. And Mantike, he helped Pikachu because, of course, Pikachu was struggling because it's not a water-type Pokemon, Ash. But, I really love the genuine, relationship that Pikachu had with Mantike in this episode. Giving Go's Pokemon some personality, which was something I was afraid of. And this is something I forgot to talk about for episode 6. I was afraid that Go was going to, just catch these Pokemon and then kind of, just kind of put them in the box and stuff like that. And this is something that I've noticed in episode 7 as well, where Pinsir is actually very cowardly. He's very coward. He's a coward. He didn't want to go to the Hoenn region to participate in that Battle Frontier thing. And then Scyther was, trying to get Go's attention and stuff like that. That was a really funny moment for me. And I love Mantyke's, sort of, personality, as in like, hey, you look like you're struggling, I'll help you out. Like, he's a very nice Pokemon. Like, he seemed very bored during the Drift Ice race until he noticed Pikachu was like struggling, and he showed to be a very helpful and kind Pokemon. So I really love that they're giving some of Go's Pokemon a little bit of personality. So this episode, I'm gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10, mainly because it's one of those just, character of the day type episodes. Episode 9. Oh, the pledge we made that day. The Ho-Oh legend of the Johto region. My favorite region, by the way. This was an episode that will undoubtedly baffle individuals expecting something substantial and Ash driven. Yet that does okay as a character of the day episode, regardless of whether eventually nothing exceptional. It's adorable yet unsurprising. I was hoping we would get more depth with Ash and Ho-Oh, because Ho-Oh is kind of like Ash's spirit Pokemon, as we all know. So I was kind of disappointed that they didn't really touch on Ho-Oh. It was just more of a, hey, we're trying to get this man's grandpa. We're trying to get this kid's grandpa to believe in Ho-Oh again and stuff like that. And I'm just like, they had so much potential for Ash and stuff. But it's all right. It's all right, guys. Like, it doesn't have to be, important every single episode. I just wish they could have, not exposed, but I wish they could have, again, put more. I'm gonna have to give this one a 5 out of 10 because, this episode, I wasn't feeling this episode. This one's a 5 out of 10. Because I didn't really like it. I'm sorry. This is probably my least favorite episode of the series so far. So I'm gonna have to say, 5 out of 10 for this one, because again, it wasn't exactly Ash driven, because Ash is connected to Ho-Oh in a way. So I was kind of disappointed that Ash didn't really do anything in this episode besides be like, hey, Ho-Oh does exist because it's the first Pokemon I saw it's one of the first legendary Pokemon I saw on my journey and stuff like that, blah blah blah. And yeah, 5 out of 10. So finishing off this video with the final part of the first part of this hot take, we have episode 10 of the new series, Dragonite, the Dragonite Paradise, and the Dragonair Trial. This was a pleasant episode that puts the emphasis on Ash, his great characteristics, and particularly his benevolence, close by displaying Ash and Go's work as research assistants and putting a fix to the imperfections of Go's catching objective from the past episodes by both not having him catch Pokemon in one shot, however, in any event, coming up short at his expressed objective for once. With that, and there's that, and Ash at long last catching a totally new Pokemon for himself. The equalization of the series at long last feels tilted back towards Ash instead of just Go, which was my major problem with the series so far, because it felt like they were trying to make Go like the actual new protagonist of the series, and not just, and Ash was just going to be kind of like a side piece, kind of, where like, we would get Ash based episodes, but like, everything would focus around Go a lot more. So I'm glad that, we finally have an actual Ash episode, an actual Ash centered episode. And he caught a freaking Dragonite, a Pokemon that everyone has wanted Ash to catch for over 20 years now, and he finally has one. And not only that, but Dragonite is Ash's first capture in this series, so that's crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say this episode is, I'm not a 10 out of 10, but like let's give it a 9 out of 10. Let's give it a mean 9 out of 10 here, because this episode was enjoyable. Again, they did the fix with Ghost Pokemon not really having that much personality, where they fixed it with Dugong, where Dugong actually has had a really funny personality. I really loved Dugong's personality in this episode, and I love Ash's Dragonite's personality as well. This episode was just great in general. Hope you guys enjoyed the first part of this Pokemon 2019 hot take. Tomorrow will be a video based on episodes 11 to 20, and then on Monday I'm going to do a video about my Patreon, and then probably Wednesday hopefully Wednesday I'm gonna be doing an episode 21 review. This one's gonna be in depth this time, so don't worry, we're not just gonna be doing hot takes every 10 episodes. Hopefully I can find a way to do not live reactions, but like reactions to the Pokemon episodes as well. But I'll see what I can do here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys smack the like button and comment down below what's your opinion on the Pokemon series so far, and also subscribe to DeAndreHawk7, where I don't just do Pokemon anime reviews. I also do gameplays. I have a few web series like Pokemon Gold and Silver Adventures, Pokemon Biology, Too Cool for School. I also do live shiny hunts every single week, and much more Pokemon related content and stuff like that. And also click the bell icon next to the subscribe button, because you know, I'm a small channel, so you know, you're not really gonna get that much news from me, so I consider clicking the bell icon so you guys will be notified whenever I upload a new video. And I consider signing up for my Patreon in the link in the description down below to help out the channel to your best abilities. I mean, you don't have to sign up for the Patreon. You can simply just like this video, watch the video and subscribe. That's all it takes to support the channel. But if you really want to support the channel further, I suggest signing up for my Patreon right now. And also follow me on Facebook. I need to get that out of my head soon. I do not have a Facebook fan page anymore. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Links to those are in the description down below. And I will see you guys next time. Only good, Turtle Army.